I'm George Takei.
And I'm James Doohan.
And you are watching
the Sci-Fi Channel.
On Trekkin, I'm Jason Bradbury, and I'm going to be hosting a fast-moving 30 minutes devoted to all things Trekkin. So, engage. Hello, I'm Jason Bradbury, and this is Keep on Trekking, my 30-minute mission to explore the strange and yet wonderful world of Star Trek, to seek out the fans, the fun, the philosophy, the yet somehow fantabulous Star Trek. So boldly go. All right, you know the script. Welcome to my little Star Trek pad. This is my answer to Quark's Bar. Thank you very, very much. We're here to celebrate all things Trekkian. We're talking about 3 decades of Star Trek, and remember, this is not just a show. Star Trek is a way of life for some people, and it's those kind of folk I'm going to be chatting to over the next 30 minutes. So, sit back, strap yourself in, but most important of all, engage. We relive some classic Star Trek scenes, and if you want to write your own episode, 2 top Hollywood scriptwriters tell you how. I get to do the Vulcan handshake with the mother of Spock's baby and find out what a Ferengi looks like without his makeup. We've got the stars of Star Trek as you've never seen them before, and the Star Trek movies you can make at home, some terrific home videos by the Trekkers themselves. Spock flips his lid in our very own Antiques Roadshow, and Star Trek fashion as modelled by the fans and Terry the Borg. All that and the real thing as we get the lowdown on First Contact. So remember, resistance is futile. I'd say around about 23rd century by today's standards, worth, what, $400 million? To be honest, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do know a man who knows all about these kinds of memorabilia. He's over here, his name's John Kerrigan, and best described as actor and collector. Would you say, John?
Yes, I would.
Nice to see you.
Good to see
How's
you.
it going? You've got an array of things here. First of all, let's start with my gun. What would you say this is exactly?
Well, that's a Klingon disruptor pistol.
Right.
And they've got 2 power settings, die and die horribly.
Next one, this is the communicator. I
Yep.
recognise this, they're talking to these.
Next Generation.
Yeah.
I did my stint on Next Gen. They let me keep this afterwards.
You were actually on
Very
Next Gen, weren't you?
Yeah, a fleeting glimpse.
You're a friend of the maker of Star Trek, aren't you, John?
Yeah, Gene Roddenberry. He inspired me to become an actor and also helped me with some of this collection.
It's a brilliant collection, and this bit is my favourite one. Can I just, can I put my foot on the bridge?
Stand on the bridge.
I'm standing on the bridge now. I'm now on the bridge of the Enterprise. My foot has been where Kirk says. This is an amazing thing. How'd you get hold of this?
Well, when they struck the set after the filming of the movies,
Yeah.
Gene said, would you like something to keepsake from the bridge? So here it is.
John, thanks very, very much. But I've
Pleasure.
got to get a value on this. And there's another guy over here.
Okay.
His name's Duncan McAlpine. And in his own words,
A Mark
he is
one- a Mark one
the foremost Star Trek expert this side of the galaxy.
very nice.
How you doing, Duncan McAlpine?
greetings,
sir.
Earthling.
Yeah, good. Spock handshake.
How are you?
We've got a kind of Antiques Roadshow set
Yes,
up
that's
here.
right.
Just very, very quickly, what's the best stuff to collect?
You've got stuff that's produced at the Times,
Yeah.
or books and puzzles and board games and comics, very easily obtainable at car boot sales, that kind of thing.
Right.
£10 a time, this kind of stuff.
So that would go for £10.
Yeah, so-
Cost 6p
but-
originally.
yeah, that's right.
So that's a good bargain. What about autographs?
Signed
Fans of autographs?
photos, very, very popular today, and of course it's William Shatner is the main signature that people are after.
He's the most
Captain
popular one
Kirk,
still.
Original and best, as they
Yeah.
say.
What sort of money?
About £80 for this, something like that.
Oh.
Like, this is very funky. This is part of a pair, in
Right,
fact.
yeah.
A Spock and Kirk wine decanter.
Oh,
Although this
brilliant.
comes
Have a
with,
look.
get a load of this, a bit of Romulan
Ooh.
ale from about 2296.
It's potent
Good
stuff. Put him back
year,
on there.
good year.
We don't want these people dropping.
£250?
250
Yeah,
quid, and
very
it's
nice.
6 years old, you say?
Yeah, about that.
Okay, well, the real question is my gun, my phaser here.
Oh, yes.
What sort of money is this? It's an original prop from the film.
Yeah, this is nice. This
What would
is
you
nice.
say?
Very old,
Yeah.
mid-23rd century, I would say.
Absolutely.
I remember one that sold at Christie's for around about 3 years ago for £300. So
Yeah.
I'd say this would be around about, in this condition, 600 quid.
600 quid?
Can you believe it?
Duncan, thanks, I'm out of here.
Oh.
Star Trek, the big idea, continues after the...
You know, a lot of people refer to me, a Star Trek fan, as an anorak, and I just want to put that category to bed once and for all by showing you just how wonderful an anorak can look. Bear Van Bear, come and join me, if you please. Doesn't that Anne look absolutely fantastic? How you doing?
I'm good.
Nice
How
to
are
see
you?
I'm lovely. Now then, you're many things. You're TV presenter, rollerblading fan, rock and roll fan, but most importantly, film fan.
I love films.
And you loved First Contact.
I
didn't you?
loved it. Because in a way, it was a very symbolic thing. Because it was the first film that got me over my reluctance to accept the next generation as a Star Trek generation.
Resistance is futile.
Because I'm a big old Star
Okay,
Trek
so you
fan.
love James T. Good grief, look at that.
I even liked him when he was fat and had a bad curly perm.
The line must be drawn here.
I tried to forget about Captain Kirk. I made a fresh new start with Captain Picard, and he was all right.
Mr. Hawke, before we lost internal senses, what were the exact environmental conditions in main engineering?
Atmospheric pressure was 2 kilopascals above normal, 92% humidity, 39.1 degrees Celsius.
39.1 degrees Celsius. Like a Borg ship.
What was it about John Luke in First Contact that you like so much?
I like the fact that he was one of those all-round men that read Moby Dick, listen to classical music, have a bit of a fight.
What about time travel? Because often time travel is dealt with in science fiction.
Yeah.
Did you think that it was an old subject to be doing all over again?
I thought it was a bit of a cheap trick, but then again, it brought us to another world.
This is no time to argue about time. We don't have the time.
There was a love interest.
There was a love interest, and it was someone who wasn't a very conventional love interest.
If you are referring to sexuality, I am fully functional, programmed in multiple techniques.
What was your favourite bit in the film?
My absolute favorite bit was when they took off in this missile, and it was quite exciting because it was one of the earliest missiles, and the guy who built it, and I do remember his name, was Zephram Cochrane.
Absolutely brilliant.
Love that name. Insisted on playing rock and roll, and he was actually playing Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf, which I love.
Let's rock and roll!
Destroy them. Watch your futures end.
This film has been marketed as not just a Star Trek film for people that like Star Trek, but a general blockbuster, a good action movie. Do you think that's fair?
I think it's fair because the special effects are just amazing. And if I can give you a tip, if you go and see this film, make sure you sit all the way in the front, all the way in the middle, and just let the special effects and the explosions just...
Someone out there, I'm sure, who can't decide whether to spend their money on this film or not. What are you going to say to them?
I say, if you can get those seats right in the middle in the front, go and see it. Don't miss it. I'd say, keep on Trekkin, see that film, and come out of it, you know...
Fulfilled.
Fulfilled,
Bear Van Bear, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
There's never been a better time to be a Trekker. With First Contact packing them in, there's the video release of 3 TV movies and more classic episodes from the original series. The latest haul includes Space Seed, The Side of Paradise, and most memorably, Devil in the Dark, where Spock mind melds with a silicon-based life form and McCoy gets to say one of his most famous lines.
You can't be serious. The thing is virtually made out of stone. Help it, treat it. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. You're a healer. There's a patient. That's an order.
In The Best of Both Worlds, the Next Generation crew investigate the mysterious destruction of a Federation colony. No prizes for guessing who done it.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over.
Also on video, the most expensive Star Trek episode ever made. In The Way of the Warrior, a bunch of crazed Klingons launch an all-out attack on Deep Space Nine, just to show everyone where the budget went.
Let's show them what they're up against. Attack Pattern Omega, target their engines.
Into the 24th century, and coming almost up to date, the crew of the starship USS Voyager find themselves in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, 70,000 light years from home.
Get out of here, Paris, before the whole thing comes down! I intend to. As soon as I get you up. You get on those stairs, they'll collapse! We'll both die. Yeah? But on the other hand, if I save your butt, your life belongs to me.
There are 2 Star Trek questions that I need answered. Who's best looking, Picard or Kirk? I know my personal preferences. And what about Spock? Did he really have a baby? One woman knows the answers to these and many, many more questions. And with that in mind, computer, late 20th century clothing. And could you get me down that lovely navy jacket with the gold buttons? Thanks a lot. Cheers. Make it so. I'm sure sure there's an interviewee somewhere around here. Oh, there we are. I'm here for a date with the delightful Robin Curtis. She played Talira in The Next Generation. And, of course, Saavik, the Vulcan in Star Trek 3 and 4, hence the handshake. And a rather personal question.
There was a rumour that there was a bit that would have been in Star Trek 4 that wasn't actually in, whereby you had an evening or a morning of passion with Spock and ended up with a young Spock.
Yes, the actual act. The act took place in a cave on Genesis with Spock in Star Trek 3. And the big debate, the big dilemma was, did they use birth control? Was this a planned act? You know? Did she bring her equipment with her? Did he have one? No, right.
Yeah.
I've had some interesting debates with the fans about that.
What is the appeal, do you think?
Of Star Trek?
Yeah.
I have asked myself that question many times. I mean, Star Trek I had no idea when I became a part of it, let me put it this way, that it was such an enduring phenomenon and that I was becoming a part of something much bigger than I imagined it to be. And the fans have so lovingly educated me to what that is. And I believe that one of its most enduring qualities is the message. The projection of a very positive picture or image into the future of mankind and man's humanity to man. That's what's underneath it all. I think that's the foundation upon which it's building. And people love that technology and they love the futuristic stuff and the high special effects, but underneath it all, it's a morality play. It's you know, they're trying to get across the idea of celebrating differences. If you're going to go out and explore space, you know, we are bound to encounter different life forms. And if we can't get our act together here, you know, if we can't be in harmony with our neighbors here, then what the heck can we expect in space? We damn well better get that together.
That is beautiful.
You know.
I want you to imagine that you're cast away in a pod, floating towards the planet Genesis. You are allowed one person of two possible people in that pod. Yeah. You have to spend the rest of eternity with them. It's either John Luke or it's James T. Who's it going to be?
Oh, God. Shatner's hairpiece on John Luke's head. No, I'm kidding. No, Picard. I would pick Picard, I think.
Robin?
Because he's an enigma.
Is that, am I an enigma?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, slaphead is the
like
expression I use. No, Robin, thank you very much. What can I say? It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's my pleasure.
It's even more of a pleasure to give you one more last time at Vulcan Handshake.
You got it.
Robin Curtis, thanks very much.
Live long and prosper.
If you want to see the stars of Star Trek in some less familiar roles, keep watching the Sci-Fi channel. For instance, back in 1956, Who's This? Starring in Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Oh, how horrible. What is it?
An eye. A glass eye.
When Star Trek passed away in 1969, it was mourned by all concerned, not least Mr. Spock. But even in the 70s, he found that logical, unfeeling Vulcan temperament hard to shake off.
But what am I supposed to do today? Break down? Sob? Would you like that?
The original series left its mark on William Shatner too. Here he is trying a Vulcan mind meld on the $6 Million Man, a kind of early version of the Borg. From the $6 Million Man to the Bionic Woman. Fans of Deep Space Nine know Odo can change into any object he likes. Here he seems to have transformed himself into an owner of a 70s boutique. Finally, back to that $6 Million Borg. And if you wonder why Q never bothers teasing Data, here's a clue. That's right, he's a technophobe. Watch Star Trek and you're watching fashion history in the making, from Uhura's extremely short skirt to Jean-Luc's very 90s male shaven head. It's always been very, very important. And here to tell me just how important is Juliette Glaves, a fashion expert. How are you doing, Juliette?
I'm doing great.
Smashing. Now, what is this connection between fashion and Star Trek?
Well, Star Trek is our vision of fashion in the future. Yeah. So it's going to influence us, and it does already. And
it's always been influential from the very beginning of the series.
Absolutely.
Up to the present day. And we've got a few people to show us the sort of quintessential statements in fashion in Star Trek. Starting off with, well, we call them the Star Trek family, aren't we? It's Mike, Heather and Nicola. Come on down. What are they wearing today?
Well, this was from the very original series, the uniforms from then in the early 60s. Colours extremely bright, primary colours. That's because NBC were the first television channel to show the programme, and they wanted to be known as the channel with colour.
Good stuff. OK, next up we've got Stuart and Julia. And a little bit more downbeat this time.
This is the Next Generation. So this was when Captain Jean-Luc Picard took over.
Yeah.
Julie is wearing the all-in-one. and it caused massive problems, groin strain. So out went the all-in-one, and in came a two-piece. And you'll notice that on the films, Jean-Luc Picard always pulls his top down when he stands up, and it became known by the fans as the Picard manoeuvre, because he's always in.
Or the Picard wedgie for the in-crowd.
Well, for the in-crowd.
Smashing, OK. OK, next up is Terry. Now, Terry's a Borg. I know the Borg's from having seen First Contact recently, the new film.
That's right.
What else is he wearing today?
He's wearing, again, the Next Generation uniform. Now, the dark red, during the Next Generation, it became known as the command colour. Yeah. So gold and red changed over. And the dark red was worn by the commander of the starship.
Great. So. Next up, Barbarella. Barbarella's my particular favourite because she's a female Klingon.
She is.
She looks mean.
She looks mean. And, in fact, both men and women wore this outfit. They're a battle race, the Klingons. You'll notice, I must just say, the makeup during the films became much more, and the whole of the Klingon look became much better as budgets got bigger through the films. So, and hence this forehead developed.
And more hair.
More hair and much bigger, heavier costume.
Because Juliet, hair means money in this game. OK, who we got next? Canary Wharf. Believe it or not, this man's called Canary Wharf. Now, this is a little bit of artistic interpretation on Canary's part. What's he doing here?
Well, this is our really funky 70s Klingon.
Looking
and,
good.
you know, Star Trek wasn't around in the 70s, so Canary has this great interpretation of what he thinks they were going to look like.
My favourite motif is the chest hair on a string there. Absolutely beautiful. Finally, we've got Vicky and Graham bringing things bang up to date.
They are. This is the new uniforms from the new film, First Contact. The neckline has changed, and you've got the quilted shoulders, and again the colour of ranking is dictated by what's worn, the polar necks underneath. Again,
and the whole male-female thing is very equal, isn't it?
Exactly equal. They wear exactly the same things. None of those short skirts you saw in the 60s.
Absolutely not. What about yourself? You're looking particularly fab tonight.
Well, thank you very much. This is my rather tight version of...
You told me you can't bend down.
I actually can't bend down, so I totally sympathise with Jean-Luc Picard and the all-in-one problem.
Well, I've got to be honest, I'm going to join you and Jean-Luc. I'm off for a fitting right now. Julia, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See you later. Live long and prosper. Ta-ra.
First Contact may be the 8th official Star Trek movie, but there's been hundreds of unofficial ones made with love and care by the Trekkers themselves. Homemade sci-fi films have always been popular, as this big-budget production of Mars Attacks illustrates. But doing your own Star Trek video is much harder and requires close attention to special rules.
Captain's log, March 17th, 1995.
First, get all your mates together. You're going to need all the help you can get. If one of those mates can do sound effects, so much the better. And if, like me, you haven't got any mates, you can always use dogs.
Long-range sensors identify the ship as the USS Narlabone approaching at Warp 9, now in communications range.
Lieutenant Tachi, open a channel.
Stardate.
Your cast must learn their lines before you start rolling.
Monday, the 1st of January.
Time spent in rehearsal is money saved on screen, and you'll need all the cash to splash out on those special effects. At some stage, your ship is bound to be attacked. Remember, there are no safety belts in Star Trek, so you'll have to throw yourself from side to side. This is very important. You've got to learn how to do it right.
Klingon vessel destroyed, Captain. Planet Bimbo coming into view.
After repelling the initial attack, you'll almost certainly have to beam down. This is another crucial scene. You may find a shower curtain comes in handy. The surface of the planet may be barren and desolate. Find what props you can, and then improvise. There must be at least one good fight sequence against a convincing alien life form. After that, beam back and shoot a final scene reflecting on your experience, even if it's one of the dogs.
Captain, I managed to save some of the Smakus. I'd gladly share them with the Dogulans.
That is a very generous offer, Captain. I will overlook your intrusion into our space for now.
Star Trek, the big idea, continues after the... Keep on trekking on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Amazing as it might seem, Star Trek, the biggest film and television phenomenon ever, still has an open script policy, which means that average bods like me can write a script like this and stand a chance of getting it on the telly. I've done just that. I reckon it's got what it takes to be a blockbuster. All I've got to do is show it to the right person. And with that in mind... Computer, late 20th century clothing. Oh, and give me a stupid hat to wear. Thanks very much. Hollywood, here I come. Yes, here I am. Malibu Beach, home of surf culture, David Hasselhoff, and of course, Paramount Studios. Wait. Something's not quite right. If I'm not in Hollywood, then where am I?
You're in Folkestone, mate.
Folkestone. Oh, thanks very much. What's this then? Wait a second. Telefantastique? Star Trek convention? Brilliant! This is the place. There's some top Hollywood scriptwriters holding a writer's workshop right here. And I'm going to make my pitch. Look at this guy. Even for Ferengi, he's pretty weird looking. Look at that face. Wait a minute. I don't believe it. It's you! It's Matt Grudenchik, alias Rom, from Deep Space Nine. What an amazing coincidence that you sat down. How you doing? This guy could really help me with my writing career. I'd better flatter him a bit. You know what's really bizarre? Looking at you in this picture from Deep Space Nine, you do not look incredibly dissimilar in real life than you do with all the makeup on.
Was that a compliment? I don't know.
That's done the trick. Let's cut to the chase.
I've got to be honest with you. I have a motive for talking to you today, Max. I've got a script burning a hole in my pocket here. It's a great script. I want to pitch it later on. Have you got any tips for me? What makes a good script for your character?
A large part for Rom in the episode. Rom says this, Rom says that. Rom, pages and pages of dialogue.
Rom becomes king, Rom takes over.
Rom becomes captain.
Have you ever thought of writing an episode for Star Trek yourself?
Oh, sure, yeah. But you got to think in the 24th century, and I only think in the 20th century, so I'm a little limited.
But Charlotte, I think in the 22nd.
You're halfway there.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I've tried. I can't quite make it to 24 yet.
You have a half a good script then.
Max, what can I say? Thank you very much for talking to me. I'm going to put you in my script. You're in there now. I'm going to go pitch it. Is that okay? Thanks a lot.
You're very well.
Wish me luck. Ta-ra. Excuse me. I've got a script here. I don't know if you could possibly spare me 5 minutes.
This is it. My chance to pitch to the bigwigs from the Star Trek office in Hollywood. Lolita Faggio, she's script editor for First Contact, and Eric Stilwell, he writes The Next Generation. Here goes.
The saga continues. I was thinking maybe the second one could be The Saga Continues 2, then maybe The Saga Continues 3. Basic idea, bald guy, like myself, maybe I could play the part. John-Luc Wellard, you want some? He gets caught in a terrible accident at the beginning, right? He's caught in a kitchen accident, killed by a blender. All right? No worries, though. Data...
This is Star Trek.
Yeah, this is it, yeah.
Okay.
Data jumps in there, marries a Klingon, and has a child who, by a genetic mutation, bear with me...
I don't buy it.
Time travel coming in a second. Bear with me. Kid grows up, looks like James
Well,
T. Kirk.
it seems I've broken some very basic rules. The lead characters never die, and they never get married. Well, I've got it all wrong, but how do you get it right?
I would say knowing the voices of our characters, which means really knowing how our characters work and think and interact with each other, is really important.
And things that are unique, focus on the characters, and have a good action, adventure, science fiction story to go with.
Eric, you've written a couple of episodes of Star Trek. How exciting is it to see your words actually make it onto the screen?
Well, actually, it's very exciting, especially when they start filming it. The first story I sold had Whoopi Goldberg in it, so...
Good grief. Which one was that?
Yesterday's Enterprise from Next Generation. And so to see Whoopi Goldberg in something that you've done creatively is very, very exciting.
Okay, well, fair enough. You know, you've given me some subjective criticism. I've taken it on board. I can do that. I'm going to go away and work very, very hard on the script. Have I got a chance, do you think, in the future?
Well, don't call us. We'll call you.
Thanks. Yeah, she's not there. She's in a script meeting. Okay, right. Tell her that Jason called? Keep on tracking, yeah? Great. I'll be waiting. Thanks a lot. Cheers. All right, it seems that I'm not the man to take Star Trek into the 25th century, but you know what? I don't really think it matters. I reckon without me, it's still going to carry on for another 30 years. So in the words of Mr. Spock, live long and prosper. Beat me down. Sorry.